Buenos días.
Buenos días.
¿Para dónde va, señor?
¿Dónde trabaja?
¿Vive en Juárez?
No.
Que la vaya bien.
Muchas gracias.
Buenas tardes. Will you be eating? Do you bring anything to the class? No, just go ahead and open your trunk real quick.
There's something in here. Move the vehicle to the secondary area.
We're gonna do an inspection, okay?
We target one vehicle that was occupied by one male. We decided to take a further look at the car.
See anomalies towards the back of the vehicle.
But we're gonna have to go in there and get it.
Take it out.
What is that?
There's something in here. There we go. Bingo. All right, get another one. Yeah, like keep prying up on that. This is a void of the vehicle that they utilize in order to attempt to smuggle narcotics.
What's that there? The trap door.
When this car gets to where it was going, they would have dropped the gas tank and they would have made entry into the compartment through this trap door here. We will go ahead and fully dismantle the vehicle. We will extract every bundle we can find, and then we're going to contact the dismantler so he can drop the gas tank, and then we can see if there's narcotics inside the gas tank as well. We got to make sure that when we call this car clear, it's clear.
Question for you. Any food products?
Some bread and some fruit for the evening.
Oh, the fruits and dinner. Okay.
As agriculture specialists, we look out for all those kind of things that could still have a lot of insects and diseases that affect our agriculture, which is one of the biggest productions that we have here in the U.S. Any kind of fruit, vegetables, any kind of meat, protein, this candy, okay, I'm gonna check it, okay? Just give me a second. We are the IMEs of other agencies, not just CBP, but also the FDA, Fish and Wildlife Services, the FDA. We've noticed that dogs are the best way to work checking bags, finding contraband. It expedites the job for us and as well as the passengers. What you got? The Beagle Brigade canines actually are active, so they have their own little badges, their own badge number.
Do you have any food items inside the bag?
They're not drug dogs, but they are looking for food, any kind of plant, meat, seed, and even insects sometimes, so they'll alert to all of that.
Oh, and we do have some items. Found some leaves. They can carry disease and pests that could transfer to farms in the United States.
All of our dogs come through the National Dog Detective Training Center. The training is for about 8 weeks, and it's not just for the dog, it's for us as well. I started my career about 3 years ago in Atlanta. What do you have with you today?
Nothing you guys want.
What do you know what I want?
Since I fly all the time.
Checking bags, finding contraband, and protecting our country. Is it lemongrass?
Yeah.
I have a degree in biology, and specifically botany is my specialty, and horticulture. Yep, so we found an insect on there. I've seen the devastation and heard and learned in school the devastation of aggressive pests coming in. I found some insects in the lemongrass, so I'm gonna keep it, okay? Now I was fortunate enough to take a position as a canine handler with my canine partner, Snoopy, and it's our graduation day.
Alexa, what day of the week is January 1st, 2027?
We work on building a team.
1st of January, 2027 is on a
You
Friday.
guys are ready to leave. Now the real work begins. It's a couple. so hard. There's a lot that really goes into it with your voice and your attitude. We learn how to hold the leash, giving commands.
Ms. Ortiz and Snoopy, congratulations, and I'm wishing you guys all the best.
You ready? Let's go. Good. So soon Snoopy and I will be heading down to Miami. That's going to be our new workstation. Snoopy is a year old now, and our dogs usually work till about they're 9. So he'll be a team for about 8 years, which is pretty awesome. We're going to be together a lot, so we got to make it work.
Go ahead and fully dismantle the vehicle. We need to get the gas tank dropped. All right, we went ahead and we dropped the gas tank. The contractor siphoned all the fuel out of it. We got to make sure we inspect everything 100%. So we further inspected the gas tank, and it was indeed not loaded with any more narcotics. Well, as far as we pulled out 4 bottles from the testing with the Gemini.
Wait for some.
Yeah, we'll wait. kilograms. I couldn't be any more happy with my team's involvement here today. The guys showed up, they were looking for it, they found it, they stuck with it, and we got a bad guy who tried to hit in the United States going to jail.
Philadelphia International Airport is responsible for over 1,000 flights arriving or departing daily.
We see most of our flights from London, Germany, Amsterdam, a lot of flights from the Caribbean.
Sir, can I see your passport, please? How you doing? We see a lot of prescription medication that is without prescription. We've seen an uptick in ketamine in the last year or so. We've seen the illicit movement of bulk currency.
Okay, have a nice day. It's a fast-paced environment. Every day is new, right? So you get that kind of like adrenaline rush, and that's exciting for CBP because we enjoy catching some stuff. All right, well, you have a good day. Yeah, you sit right here at the corner.
Not only does it cover the passenger terminal here, we also deal with DHL, FedEx, UPS for international shipments and express consignment.
Express assignment is pretty busy. It's between 10 and 15,000 packages a day. They want these packages delivered throughout the United States within a day or two.
I need that one to be inspected, please.
The officers do look at everything, but then they just focus on the high risk. For CBP purposes, terrorism, narcotics, and just taking stuff like that off the streets. You just intercepted a package here from the UAE, transiting from Philadelphia through to Georgia. The weight of the package is really heavy for the description of the commodity, which is food. So what we're going to do is x-ray the package in itself and then go from there. All right, let's see. All right.
There's definitely some inorganic stuff in there that's not on the manifested description.
We'll open up this box to see what's inside.
Stuff is so sticky. It smells like, is it dates or?
Yeah, like some sort of dates. This is messy. Normally, this automatically is a red flag, something we would look at even if it wasn't for the x-ray and we just so happen to open it up. Here we go. It looks like some sort of pills.
National Geographic proudly celebrates Black History Month.
The path north to the U.S. is now controlled by a violent, criminal underworld. These migrants sell everything they own to make it to the U.S., and this is how they're treated along the way. Walkie-talkies and cameras down.
50 que llegan, 45 que me cogen dirección. Desde hace el desierto.
ProPlan is always advancing with game-changing formulas that promote mental sharpness and help extend lives. See what nutrition can do. Purina ProPlan, always advancing.
Domino's Perfect Combo includes 2 pizzas, 2 sides, and a 2-liter bottle of Coke. So we're asking real people how much they think all of this costs.
35, 45, 50?
$19.99. What's that like? It's Domino's Perfect Combo, and it's all just $19.99.
This isn't Charmin. No wonder I don't feel as clean.
Your Charmin Ultra Strong.
Ah, my bottom's been saved.
With its diamond leaf texture, Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better with fewer sheets and less effort. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
With so many choices on Booking.com, there are so many Tina Feys I could be. So I hired body doubles. 30,000 followers, Tina, in a boutique hotel.
For 30,000 steps, Tina, at a mountain cabin.
Booking.com,
Yeah. This tax season, it's time for you to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get unlimited data and you get a Samsung Galaxy A15 so you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Turn your tax refund into a U-fund with Straight Talk Wireless.
ProPlan is always advancing with game-changing formulas that promote mental sharpness and help extend lives. See what nutrition can do. Purina ProPlan, always advancing.
Especially for Root Trent GBI.
Can you play? Oh, no, no.
I have reason to believe someone's trying to kill you. Faith, who's on the bottom? You got 6 minutes to clear the building.
They went through a lot of trouble to conceal this stuff. Let's say we didn't get a chance to x-ray and someone opened that up and seen the container. They're like, oh no, it's too sticky, it's food, we're just gonna believe it's food and just let it go through. So, you know, sometimes they use something that could be really nasty or disgusting looking in order to try to bypass knowing that some people won't go the extra mile. What is this, alprazolam? Otherwise known as Xanax, Schedule 4 narcotic. Normally, this type of drug, you would definitely need a doctor's prescription here in the United States. Sometimes outside the U.S., they don't really have the same laws and regulations where they can get prescription pills without having a doctor sign off. But the way it was concealed and the quantity of this lets you kind of know this is probably not for prescription use.
How do you think there are? 10,000 at least?
10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pills in one slab.
There has to be maybe 20,000. I mean, I would say between 12 and 20. There's a lot.
So let's test.
This is an ortho pouch that could give a positive for Xanax. So it's purple.
So that just confirms that, you know, it's positive. All right, so now that we have a positive test, what we'll do is we'll, you know, weigh all the pills at once. So this is 7.86 kilos. This could be close to 20,000 pills, maybe more. And obviously 20,000 pills is not, you're not going to get that in a prescription shipped to the U.S. So now we're going to contact HSI, turn over the pills to them. They're going to do a quick investigation, get some information on the recipient, and at that point they're going to do a controlled delivery. So now we just wait for HSI to come take a look.
You ready? Let's go. Come on. Let's go find it. Come on. Snoopy and I have been graduated for about a month now. We're in our acclimation period. So it's just kind of letting him get used to his new home and also just all the commotion that comes in with an airport. I mean, there's a lot of noise, a lot of different smells. So we're sniffing bags, working on our carousel. And we set up a target bag so he has something to find. And if he finds something else, that'd be great. Just keeping him motivated. That way he knows there's something there. So it'll keep him engaged and searching. It's a good boy. Part of the process is learning the dog and learning you too. It's a lot of coordination. It's not just you anymore. You have this little being that's pulling you around everywhere. And if I don't learn how to understand how he's working, then I can't do my part of the job. Show me. That's a good boy. Show me. Once he sits, that's his way of telling me that this is a bag that has to be open. There's something in here that we need to look at. Yes! You did it! This is so cool! Yes! Our detector dogs are originally trained on 5 basic odors that they've had. Throughout their career, they can learn up to 50 to 70 different odors. Hello, can I touch your backpack? Gracias! Sometimes we'll introduce new odors. Sometimes it happens organically, and we're like, wow, that's cool. How'd you find that? Good boy! Hello, is this your bag? All right! We got some sugar cane. Good boy! Besides the sugar cane, do you have any other food items inside?
Only the bread.
Here we go. So this kind of stuff has the roots of the plant. I'm gonna keep this one. When I see him find something that he just learned, it's pretty cool. It's like, wow, I just taught you that one time and now you found it. That's very impressive. This one has chicken, so I gotta keep this one, okay? That's a good boy! It's all about your attitude, and if you make it fun and exciting for the dog. Some dogs really love the tactile, some dogs really react to your voice, so throwing a little party when they do the right thing, that reinforces them. Good boy! Yes! That's a good job. Good boy!
We're out there working with no sun cover, very limited water breaks. Around vehicles that are emitting an enormous amount of heat themselves. Really proud of the guys for the kind of work they do in this kind of heat.
Buenas tardes, señor. Nada para aclarar, señor. ¿Para dónde van? ¿Sacar mi gente abajo? Perfecto, que lo hagan. Gracias. I like to go fast. It's like a line of production. I like to go fast. So I see something that's different, completely different. Nada para aclarar. Adelante. I like to see their body behavior, if they're shaking, if they're nervous. Maybe it's a weird explanation, but it's like love. You just, boom, you just feel it automatically. There's going to be one that stands out. There's going to be one that's going to be different, and you're going to see it on the eyes. ¿No traes documento? ¿A dónde vas? Señor pasaporte, ¿le pones en parking, por favor? ¿Este vehículo es tuyo? Está a nombre de mi papá, pero ¿eres el único que lo cruza? ¿Tienes algún otro documento? Nada, yo la cartera. Ok, perfecto. Quintana, can you run it? All the anxiety going on in the body, the way he's scratching his leg, his knee, the way he's shaking. tool is not always perfect. So one time, same thing happened. A dog run the vehicle in my lane, and the dog didn't alert on the vehicle. I sent it in, and it was still loaded. So we're gonna see if we catch something big. Vamos a mandar de INF.
National Geographic Investigates continues next.
Having health insurance is important. So if anyone in your family has Medicaid or CHIP, listen up. Check the mail for your renewal form. Complete the form and mail it back right away so you don't lose your coverage. If you do lose your coverage, visit healthcare.gov to see if you're eligible to enroll in a low-cost, quality health plan. Healthcare.gov.
Purina One. We switched and wow. From day one, its proven natural nutrition supports Charlie's strong immune system and Ginger's healthy heart.
Healthy differences today and for a lifetime. Purina One, a difference from day one.
How long have you been tracking the value of our car? Should we sell it?
We hold.
Our low mileage is paying off. You think we should?
Hold.
Already sold the Carvana. Go to Carvana and track your car's value today.
Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors. Easy to apply for the whole family. Vicks VapoStick. And try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks vapors.
Pan pizza is Domino's best kept secret. It's handmade with fresh, never frozen dough, has 2 layers of cheese, toppings to the edge, and a crust that's golden and crispy. Well, consider the secret out. Order your favorite pan pizza or try it today for the first time at Domino's.
ProPlan is always advancing with game-changing formulas that promote mental sharpness and help extend lives. See what nutrition can do. Purina ProPlan.
You can make money the hard way as a bullfighter or a human cannonball, or save money the easy way with Xfinity Mobile. Existing customers can get a free line of our most popular unlimited plan for a year. Not only will you save hundreds, but you'll also be joining millions who have connected to America's most reliable 5G network. Sure is a lot safer than becoming a stuntman for money. Get a free line of unlimited intro for a year when you buy one unlimited line. Plus, get the new Samsung Galaxy S24 on us. E-Network.
We can change the course of history. We will fight against repression by any means necessary. Brothers and sisters, are you ready?
We must be a little daring.
This is our reality now.
All right, now let's see what we can do.
Some of the stuff don't open, like the compartments, like the glove compartment doesn't open. Some of these vehicles will sometimes have, hidden compartments. And this one in particular, the glove compartment doesn't open. The compartment in the center console doesn't open. So we're gonna make sure that we get a good look at that with the X-ray machine. Just right over here. Toddy, is it good to go? here, you know, and there are times that the travelers can be a little nervous. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have anything, or that they're doing anything illegal. Yeah, ultimately, even though he was nervous, he was clear to go.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on, guys? Good. Well, here we have some Xanax, 7.86 kilos, going to Georgia. Okay. This was the box that came in, filled in these sticky cake type containers. Okay. The rest is some like crackers and rice cakes, stuff like that.
I spoke to the agents down in Georgia. The address this parcel was going to has received pills in the past, which there's already a current investigation on them. So we're going to take this off your hands, okay. And we're going to turn it over to the guys down in Georgia to continue the investigation. It's likely that the individual receiving these in Georgia sells them to other users. Xanax is used a lot by heroin users to kind of stabilize their high. So a lot of times you're going to find a Schedule I narcotic like heroin when you conduct your controlled delivery. And we're good to go. All right. Good work, guys. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for the help.
Additionally, when drugs are introduced into the United States that aren't FDA approved, there's always a risk of the drugs being fake or counterfeit. We don't know how they're manufactured or who they're manufactured by. We've seen pills come in that are tainted with fentanyl. That's very harmful, even in small doses. So these pills are dangerous.
You ready? Let's go. Good. Let's go find him. Snoopy's been doing great. He's fully acclimated. The training wheels are off, so he's been working full flights now. He's been working higher risk flights now. He's been finding us some stuff. He's been doing a really good job. It's a lot of hard work, but it does make me happy. It's not just that he's a great dog and I feel very lucky to have him, but it's also our bond and knowing that I'm building that too because it's not just me anymore. Hopefully. What you got, Snoop? So what I'll do is when I see that he's interested, I'll separate bags just to kind of make it easier for him to tell me which one it is that he's interested in. This one? All right. Being a canine handler now, my job is not to say the dog and I are working just with the bags and we'll pick the luggage from secondary where the agriculture specialist works with the passenger and their bags.
Ok, esperamos que llamen, acomodémonos. Esta tiene pronto algunas semillas, plantas for planting. Right now we're doing an inspection from passenger coming from Ecuador, looking for anything that is prohibited, can be drugs, can be medications. ¿Qué tiene acá? Este es la Jamaica. Flores de Jamaica. Y eso está permitido. Así que trae, señora. Todo eso es queso. La puede poner ahí para que nos deje espacio todo. Y en esta que trae, señora. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? En español. ¿Qué clase de animal es eso? Ese es de la semilla de champa. ¿Los palos de champa? Es como un insecto, ¿cierto? Un insecto como... Bueno, para la gripe. This lady has a big larva and she's destinada por medication. ¿Y se lo comen así ustedes? Sí. ¿Y qué come? Todo se come. No lo había visto antes.
The rush to the playoffs. The biggest games. The biggest stage. The Stanley Cup Final returns on ABC and ESPN Plus.
want a low price.
You want the lowest price. Did you say lowest or lowest price?
It's basically the same thing. If you find a better price somewhere else, we'll match you. Get the lowest price with our lowest price guarantee. You got this. We got you.
So I can take all these trips because Priceline has all these amazing deals. And that's when I said, deal!
And on your right is our Infinity Deal Pool. I am the deals. The deals are me. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
The beach has always been there for us. So it's time we were there for it. That's why Corona's helping clean 100 beaches by 2025. It's the first step in our fight against plastic pollution.
Welcome to Lobster Fest. Is your party ready? Ready to attack this new lobster and shrimp stack? Ready for your lobster lover's dream to come true? They're 2 of 10 lobster creations only at Lobster Fest. Plus cheddar base for days. But Lobster Fest won't last, so hurry in.
Choice Hotels is the family
33.
hotel for any traveler you want to be.
05.
Chef Dad cooking up a free hot breakfast for the entire family at a comfort hotel.
Mom made this.
I added the garlic. Stay twice and get a free night when you book direct.
Hey, quick question. Everybody math proficiency. When you say it's good, very, like a percentage you get together. Understood.
Great student-teacher ratio.
We bring you the real in-depth school info.
What were you thinking?
I don't know. Homes.com.
Pro Plan is always advancing with game-changing formulas that promote mental sharpness and help extend lives. See what nutrition can do. Purina Pro Plan, always advancing.
God is giving you more of what you love. Please. Oh, that was abrupt. More stars.
More laughs.
And more.
No lo había visto antes, pero honestamente. ¿Sí está cocinado? Sí. Está cocinado. Está cocinado, pues yo no tengo ningún problema en dejárselo ir, pero... Está cocinado. It was cooked. So the regulation is if something is cooked, insects are good to go. ¿Esto qué es, señor?
Es para castigar a los niños.
¿Y de qué está hecho esto?
De una merengada.
Sí, pero usa sin tratar, ¿sí?
No, nosotros compramos así como venden leches así.
Eso también es prohibido. Aquí, ¿qué trae? ¿Qué es todo esto? ¿De plátano? ¿De qué?
Sí.
Desde que estén sanas y sin insectos, creo que pueden pasar, pero si tienen algún insecto o alguna enfermedad, no se pueden llevar. Sí, no me toque ahí, por favor. Pero todo esto son enfermedades de las plantas. Esta no es solo, me está trayendo hojas de plátano, también está trayendo otras plantas diferentes. Sí, no puede traerlas y menos así escondidas en estas hojas. There was another plant, so this is not allowed. So this is smuggling, hiding and smuggling. Pero ¿qué pasa? Mire lo que usted está haciendo, escondiéndome plantas debajo de otras. Esta planta sí es prohibida también. This is unknown plants, and we cannot let it go. So they're not good to go. They're going to be seasoned and take samples to send to USDA lab, and the rest are going to be destroyed. Bueno, señora, terminamos con esta maleta. Pueden pasar las cosas, por favor. Y cuando yo vean a todos mis comentarios en el sistema, pero mis compañeros saben para la próxima vez. Ya está bien, señor. Salida allá, luego a la izquierda, aquí están las conexiones. Buen día.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming by. We've got 5 or so faces agents here. We intercepted this box that had, when they inspected it, 7.86 kilograms of alprazolam, which is a Schedule IV drug. We did some research on this residence, and we believe that there's been several others that came here, so it gives us a good opportunity for us to get it together, do a controlled delivery of this box, and see where that takes us.
So Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office is going to be doing the entry along with HSI. We're going to have you guys doing the perimeter on the box is open, we'll be executing the search warrant and conduct our interviews and see what they got to say.
If there's any other questions, we have a packet, we'll be providing y'all. Let us know. Thanks.
Unfortunately, it's not unusual to see a shipment of drugs like this. Prescription pills, it's getting more and more common. It's also responsible for a lot of overdose. Some of these overdose, unfortunately, result in fatalities. Just recently, here in North Georgia, there was a juvenile that got a hold of some prescription medicine that was actually belonged to his mother, who was distributing it, and who tried it, and unfortunately resulted in his death. So to hear something like this, and it's in our backyard, it's more important than ever to get these.
Alexa, is the number 17 a prime number?
Yes. 17 is the natural number following 16 and preceding 18. It is a prime number. 17 is the sum of the first four prime numbers.
Nearby, we go on staging location, waiting for the package to be delivered by an undercover officer. Once that package delivered, we'll be notified to be on standby. When someone takes the package and attempts to open it, we'll be alerted, and we're going to execute a search warrant.
¿Dónde van? Acá. Ok. ¿Algo que aclarar? Pídele. Gracias. ¿Cuánto tiempo estuvo en México? 2 horas. ¿Nadie le dice que le trajera nada de México? No. ¿Sí me puede abrir la cajuela, por favor? Y luego también esta ventana, por favor. Sigue aquí a la oficina. No te avances mucho ahí despacito. Before Fusion had pulled up, she seemed a little hesitant to answer my questions. That's when I decided that I was going to send the car in. Usually when somebody's nervous, yes, they can be nervous of officers.
Alexa,
because of a law
what day of the week is March 4th, 2028?
4th of March, 2028 is on a Saturday.
Just for the top part of the vehicle, I see anomalies. There I can see more anomalies towards the side of the vehicle, close to the trunk area. It's like stands out a lot. Or I can use coloration, and they even stand out even more. Sometimes they put the anomalies where the coloration can almost like camouflage the anomalies, so they could like blend in. But in this case, it's so large that it just shouts out, "Look at me." It's something we definitely have to look at.
Keep watching. National Geographic investigates.
Why has Nordic Track spent nearly 50 years building machines that actually understand you? Machines so smart.
Hey, Fly, we're going up.
They automatically adjust for your workout and for you.
Get your heart rate up.
Why do we build these incredible machines? So you can be one too.
Beneful knows a full life doesn't just happen. It's a choice. To take a swing, to taste all life has to offer. Choose joy. Choose Beneful. And try Incredibites, just for small dogs. Looking for a deal? Well, Domino's Perfect Combo is a big deal for a not-so-big price. Because for just $19.99, you get 2 medium one-topping pizzas and savory Parmesan bread bites and gooey cinnamon bread twists and a 2-liter of Coke. It's the perfect combo. Just $19.99, only at Domino's. Unforgettable.
Nespresso. What else?
it's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get unlimited data and the Samsung Galaxy A14 on them, so you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Turn your tax refund into a U-fund with Straight Talk Wireless.
Want to know a secret? More than just my armpits stink. That's why I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant everywhere.
4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend whole body deodorant, which gives you 72-hour odor protection from your pits to your
Secret Full Body Deodorant.
Dental knows a full life doesn't just happen. It's a choice. To take a swing, to taste all life has to offer. Choose joy.
Alexa,
Choose
volume level
and try
10.
Incredible.
Alexa, play Elon Musk, Audible.
Getting your selection from Audible. Resuming Elon Musk.
In the UK, and final preparations are being made for the importation. Despite the repeated delays, most customers still waited patiently for their cars to arrive. Elon started to get involved firsthand into the production process of the car, and he became the fussy tyrant that SpaceX employees knew much too well. He wanted to know everything to the very last detail, and nothing was allowed to be ambiguous. Popple, an employee at Tesla, told Ashley Vance about Musk's leadership methods. Elon got fired up and said we were going to do this intense cost-down program. He gave a speech saying we would work on Saturdays and Sundays and sleep under desks until it got done. Someone pushed back from the table and argued that everyone had been working so hard just to get the car done, and they were ready for a break and to see their families. Elon said, "I would tell those people they will get to see their families a lot when we go bankrupt." I was like, wow, but I got it. I had come out of the military culture, and you just have to make your objective happen. Musk's main goal was to make sure that all costs were cut as drastically as possible, and he had no patience for those who were too slow in delivering results. If you started falling behind, there was hell to pay. Everyone could see it, and people lost their jobs when they didn't deliver. Elon has a mind that's a bit like a calculator. If you put a number on the projector that does not make sense, he will spot it. He doesn't miss detail. Some people thought Elon was too tough or hot-tempered or tyrannical, but these were hard times, and those of us close to the operational realities of the company knew it. I appreciated that he didn't sugarcoat things. Popple reminisced, half fearful, half in admiration. His harshness has no boundaries. Marketing people were tasked with fixing any negative Tesla story that was out there. Mistakes and delays were not tolerated. He would fire people just for making grammatical mistakes in emails or for simply not doing something grand in a period of time. He can be incredibly intimidating at times, but doesn't have a real sense for just how imposing he can be. We'd have these meetings and take bets on who was going to be bloodied and bruised. If you told him that you made a particular choice because it was the standard way things had always been done, he'd kick you out of a meeting fast. He'd say, "I never want to hear that phrase again. What we have to do is fucking hard, and half-assing things won't be tolerated." He just destroys you, and if you survive, he determines if he can trust you. He has to understand that you're as crazy as he is, recalled a former Tesla executive. Many employees left because they were too tired to keep on fighting for a dream that, with each day that went by, seemed less and less achievable. Eberhard was gone, so Tarpening followed, and so did other early employees, although most of them still hold Elon into high regards.
Alexa,
Don't worry about...
Stop.
Growers, notice one of the bags. Whoever takes responsibility of that luggage, we're going to conduct an exam.
Alexa, play How to Prevent the Next Pandemic, Audible.
Hitting your selection from Audible. Resuming how to prevent the next pandemic.
There are probably more than 200 outbreaks of infectious diseases every year. AIDS and other silent epidemics, as they came to be known, tuberculosis, malaria, and others, are the focus of the Foundation's global health work, along with diarrheal diseases and maternal mortality. In 2000, these diseases killed more than 15 million people in all, many of them children, and yet shockingly little money was being spent on them. Melinda and I saw this as the area in which our resources and our knowledge of how to build teams to create new innovations could make the biggest difference. This is the subject of a common misconception about our Foundation's health work. It's not concentrated on protecting people in rich countries from diseases. It's concentrated on the gap in health between high-income countries and low-income ones. Now, in the course of that work, we learn a lot about diseases that can affect the rich world, and some of our funding will help with these diseases, but they're not a focus of our grant making. The private sector, rich country governments, and other philanthropists put a lot of resources into that work. Pandemics, of course, affect all countries, and I've worried a lot about them since I began studying infectious diseases. Respiratory viruses, including the influenza family and the coronavirus family, are particularly dangerous because they can spread so quickly. And the odds that a pandemic will strike are only going up. That's partly because with urbanization, humans are invading natural habitats at a growing rate, interacting with animals more often, and creating more opportunities for disease to jump from them to us. It's
Alexa,
also
stop.
Right now, we're currently staging at a nearby location until the package is delivered, and at that point, we'll be ready to execute the warrant.
Alexa, play Finding My Virginity, Audible.
Hitting your selection from Audible. Resuming Finding My Virginity.
A crisis is often a good time to start a new business. When the 2007 economic downturn happened, I thought it would be the perfect moment to begin searching for suitable properties. The first hotel we found was in Chicago, a stunning neoclassical building that briefly opened as the old Dearborn Bank in 1928, then swiftly closed as the Great Depression hit. You can still see the huge safe downstairs, now the home of the spa. We saw how the iconic building could combine classic charm with contemporary style, and become the embodiment of what Virgin stands for in hotel form. I was more excited about the team we were forming than any building, though. Raul Leal, a hospitality expert who understood the brand right away, came on board to run the company, and his team has followed in his footsteps of living and breathing the Virgin way. I visited the hotel for a hard hat tour while it was still a dusty shell, with original fittings covered and carpets rolled up along the walls. But I could see the vision of what it would become, and see the team's eyes light up with enthusiasm. While out for a pizza afterward, I told Raul I was confident he would have our first hotel open for business by the time I returned. We talked about every annoying thing our rival hotels did. Charged for Wi-Fi, spiked prices for everyday items in the minibar, blasted infuriating music into your room, and we found ways to turn these problems into positives. We began pulling the tail of our rivals before we were even open. We turned up outside hotels that charged for internet access, like the W and the Marriott, and gave their guests our own free Wi-Fi through a special Virgin Hotels truck. It caused a stir, annoyed the neighbours more than a little, and made our mark on the city and its people. Soon job applications and pre-booking requests were overflowing in the office. We asked women who travel a lot what they really want from their hotel rooms. They said two things: safety and convenience, which men want too, of course. The team developed chambers instead of rooms, which could be divided in half, so guests can be separated from anyone entering the room with deliveries or luggage or room service. Then we added 2 dressing tables, beautiful lighting and mirrors, drawers for makeup, extra cupboard space, and big shower benches to make shaving legs easier. The beds are unique designs that allow you to get into all sorts of positions, including being able to sit up and work, rather than squeezing behind a tiny coffee table with your laptop. We built an app to control everything from the room temperature to the room service. Best of all, I insisted on a yes button on every phone. Guests can press it, request anything their heart desires, and our team will deliver. My favourite request so far was for a singing performance. A few of the staff were quickly charging to the room and blasting out their best Beyoncé impressions. When I went to Chicago for the grand launch on 16 April 2015, we held a Ferris Bueller's Day Off parade, with me in the lead role. As tens of thousands of people shook their tails to twist and shout, blocking off the street, the police issued us with a writ. As ever, ask forgiveness, not permission. While the authorities weren't happy, the guests certainly have been. Within a year, we were named Best Hotel in America by Condé Nast. Another business idea that had long been dormant was moving the company into cruise ships. This time, the inspiration to pick this concept up came from an old drawing. After the Necker fire, I had been eager to take stock of exactly what was not lost in the blaze. I waded through some boxes, positively overflowing with memorabilia, old diaries, concept art, and plain old junk collected over the past 5 decades. I felt quite nostalgic rummaging through, not a regular sensation for me. There's nothing like sheer clutter to remind you of your past, but it always makes me want to bring order to it, then move forward again. Trying to reach a box of books, I almost stepped through an old drawing made for Virgin Atlantic, showing what the brand could look like if it was expanded into cruises. I picked it up, dusted it off, and saw an image of a very different type of cruise. Glamorous, exciting, in dazzling colour. It felt like a sign. As it happened, I had just been on the phone with our investment team, talking about the very same subject. We were looking seaward to see whether we could transform another established but stuffy sector, cruising. I had first thought about starting a cruise line when I was 27. At the time, I wanted it to only be for under 30s. Once I turned 30 myself, I decided that we'd have to add a clause that would still allow the owner aboard. I have never been a fan of modern-day cruises, and can understand why they have the reputation for poor service and long, boring journeys. I have admiration for the golden age of cruising, however, when there was glamour and adventure attached to it. Surely it would be possible to recreate that faded grandeur and combine it with some modern excitement. How hard could it be to build a big, okay, very big, boat? As it turns out, the answer is very difficult. After long and detailed negotiations with Bain Capital, one of the world's leading private investment firms, we agreed to one of the biggest deals in Virgin's history. In June 2015, I took a helicopter ride across Biscayne Bay and landed at Miami's Museum Park. I was in town to announce that Port Miami would be the home of Virgin Voyage's first cruise ship. Renowned Italian shipbuilders, Fincantieri, are building 3 mid-sized ships for us, with the first ready to sail in 2020 and the next 2 following in 2021 and 2022. One of the main concerns we had about getting into the cruise sector was sustainability, so we partnered with clean energy startup Climb On an industry first, to create ocean-friendly ships that will effectively turn heat waste into energy in order to save CO2. Wandering around the dock, surrounded by the great and good of this enormous industry, I still felt that the cruises sector was a bit stuffy. While I was skipping around in a red and white sailor's uniform, complete with captain's hat, there were ties everywhere I looked, even in the roasting Miami sunshine. So I offered the mayor of Miami-Dade County, Carlos A. Jimenez, a helping hand to cool him down, cutting his tie off, then repeating the trick with Port Miami CEO Juan M. Carrera and Fincantieri chairman Vincenzo Petrone. Mayor Jimenez thankfully saw the funny side and promised to pass an ordinance forbidding ties from now on. Virgin Voyage's new CEO, Tom McAlpin, joined me to raise our flag in the dock, and the company was officially launched. The next major milestone in getting our ship together was in October 2017, when I travelled to Genoa, Italy, to lay the keel for Virgin Voyage's first vessel. Before we arrived, I met up with Boy George, who I hadn't seen since I tried to get him off drugs many years earlier. Back then, things were looking very bleak for him. Many of his close friends died from heroin overdoses, some in his home, and it was very likely he would be next. Having got to know him well since signing Culture Club to Virgin Records, I wanted to support him. Fortunately, having run the Student Advisory Centre for Young People since I was 16, I knew what to do. I persuaded him to come to my house in the country, where I had arranged for a specialist doctor called Meg to come and help him get clean. He wanted to do it, and things began looking brighter for him. But sadly, his manager arrived in his Rolls Royce, so the press found out where Boy George was hiding out, and soon they were camping outside my front door. The Sun newspaper ran an editorial demanding his arrest, which was the last thing he or anyone needs while going through therapy. We decided to make a run for it. Well, more like a crawl. To evade the paparazzi, we sneaked out of my back door and crawled for 3 miles through fields of long grass to a graveyard outside a church, where we had a car waiting. We made it, but unfortunately Boy George was arrested not long afterward and fell back into his addiction. So it was a real pleasure to see him looking fit and healthy so many years later in Italy. He has really turned things around and told me he hasn't touched drink or drugs in 15 years. I'm so blessed that my life is so extraordinarily fun and I can actually enjoy it now, he told me. As we walked through Genoa Airport together, all the immigration officers welcomed George by jumping up onto the table to dance while "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me" blared out over the speakers. Later, Tom McAlpin and I climbed up a crane above the shipyard to make our entrance. As Boy George started being DJ, we dropped 200 feet to the base of the ship, where we welded a ceremonial coin into the keel. Formalities over, I joined Boy George to dance together to "Come a Chameleon." The shipyard owners told me it was the biggest party they'd ever seen. "Just you wait until we actually set sail," I replied. One of the best ideas we developed during this time wasn't to do with a new product, but a new approach as to how we looked after our staff. I was working from my hammock when Holly sent me an article from the Daily Telegraph all about the video streaming company Netflix and its revolutionary vacation policy. "Dad, check this out," Holly wrote. "It's something I've been wanting to introduce for a long time. I believe it would be a very Virgin thing to do to not track people's holidays. I have a friend whose company has done the same thing, and they've apparently experienced a marked upward spike in everything. Morale, creativity, and productivity have all gone through the roof." The idea was catching on with a few Silicon Valley startups, where teams were lean and HR departments usually non-existent. But I wondered if we could make it work for a bigger business and encourage more companies to follow suit. I've never worked from an office and have always urged my teams to get away from their desks whenever possible. 9 to 5 has never applied to me, unless you count our early Virgin Records days, when our usual hours were closer to 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Over the years, technology has revolutionized, for better or for worse, how we all work. While developments have allowed people more freedom in the way they work, it also means many people end up checking emails in the evenings, answering non-urgent messages, and working out presentations while they should be relaxing at home. Urging people to stop this extra work is simply
Alexa,
impractical.
stop.
Come on, that's right, okay? The driver is not under arrest at this point, but we detain him, put him in security office for his safety, and then after that, we go ahead and then do our inspection.
Alexa, what is Taylor Swift's cell phone number right now?
From moneypromax.com. Taylor Swift's cell phone number is 1-908-500-0473.
Very carefully, making sure that he doesn't puncture any packages. He goes slowly, but make sure that the job gets done safely. There you go. It's right there. So we don't know what it is. From the touch and feel, I would suspect it is meth, but we won't know for sure until we actually do the test. If this turns blue, then we know this is positive for methamphetamine. There you go, positive for methamphetamine.
Wait, how many packages is it?
7.
Yeah, it's from all there?
We have 7 packages, totaling a weight of 10.62 kilos. So now, because the substance actually tested positive for methamphetamine, we can go ahead and place the subject under arrest, contact HSI, and go from there. We see every day baggage secondary farms coming into the U.S. We see 1 or 2 farms a day. Just like a swim competition. We are. The next one.
Alexa, is there any oxygen on the planet Mars right now?
Here is an answer from an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. Yes, there is oxygen on Mars, but in very small quantities. The atmosphere of Mars consists primarily of carbon dioxide, CO2, and contains only around 0.16% oxygen. This is very low compared to the Earth's atmosphere, which contains around 21% oxygen.
Coming in. So this is our gun room. The weapons get dropped off from the baggage handlers to keep the public safe, make sure the passengers don't claim their weapons on a belt and use it for any harmful intent. This one? This passenger is coming from South Africa. He has some antique weapons. He's declared today. For safety reasons, only the officers are allowed to carry the gun case. We're just going to go to the back secondary to verify the weapons. What is the purpose for bringing these weapons here today?
Taken to the antique arms show. They'll be displayed and then kept with my daughter because I want to keep them safe in the US because they're very, very old. This one's the newest one. It's 1850. That's a smooth ball.
Alexa, what is the highest elevation on the planet Earth?
The summit of Mount Everest, at 8,848 meters, 29,029 feet, above sea level, is the highest elevation on Earth.
That's a much earlier one.
Flintlock rifle, caliber 62. And this is the barrel.
The barrel, yeah.
This one is okay.
That is a tomb gun.
What is tomb gun?
You load it and you put it on the tomb of someone in your family who so the pictures are not stolen for medical research. They're extremely rare.
Alexa, how far away from here is the bristlecone pine forest in Bishop, California?
The Bristlecone Pine Forest in Bishop, California, is a day trip destination located in the White Mountains, about an hour's drive uphill from Bishop.
Sometimes we have other people that try to make entry through other means. We have encountered people smuggling with fraudulent documents. We have encountered people in the trunk of a vehicle. Our job is to stop human smugglers from coming into the port of entry. But along the borders, where we don't have a port of entry, we have Border Patrol protecting the border itself.
The Border Patrol, our main job is to patrol the areas that are between the ports of entry, checking for people that come into the country legally. The El Paso sector has 264 miles of border, and you do not cross the border illegally without paying somebody, because everything on the Mexican side is controlled by criminal organizations. I've seen migrants that have paid just several $100s up to extorting the migrants plus their family members in their country of origin for up to $30,000. The criminal organizations, their priority is to make money. They don't care about the lives of the migrants. They treat the migrants as a commodity. For the criminal organizations, the migrants are disposable. For us, we take priority on the safety of migrants. At the end of the day, we are dealing with human beings, and I want everybody to go home safe. We just got notification of 4 migrants setting up a ladder, so we're gonna go check. They want to blow it down 20 to 30 yards on the east side. There they are. Carrying the ladder. Therefore, I got visual. Right now, 2 of them were yelling profanities at us, so more than likely those 2 are the smugglers. The ladder is a makeshift ladder. It's very thin rebar. They stay on the Mexican side, and they'll keep scanning the area to get the migrants across. It takes them maybe 30 seconds to go over the border barrier. They climb that ladder pretty fast. They're walking on a little pathway, acting like a ladder back south. The smugglers know if we do have any blind spots or any advantage points for them, they'll use them, and they'll exploit them. They're running westbound along the fence now. Therefore, ladder going up. They just crossed it. They were over here now, not near them. They probably went under a bush. Did you have vision? See the ladder right there? Yeah. Hey, they're going up the tracks. They're going up the tracks.
You can change the course of